set up your profile. But I'd like to ask why, no? Why is it important that you have a profile that's set up in the first place? Right? So this is like having your own digital business card as well. So kung wala kang mabibigay sa contact mo, all you'll be doing is just collecting business cards, and they won't be able to connect with you, right? You have their contact, but they don't have your contact. So it's very important that you set up your profile at the very least. And this is how recruiters, for example, or hiring managers are able to find you as well on LinkedIn. How can your network know you if you don't put out any information about yourself, diba? How do they even know that you're part of their network if you don't have a way for them to add? So I divided each of the topics that we'll be discussing today into different levels. Kasi I know yung iba sa atin shy or walang bandwidth to really keep up a really, really active LinkedIn profile or LinkedIn account, or aren't really as extroverted to really engage with your network. So I'm doing it level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 is probably like the bare minimum, just for you to have a LinkedIn account that you're able to use. Level 2, medyo mas active. And level 3, if you really want to be proactive about your presence on LinkedIn. Okay? So level 1, these are the things that the bare minimum that you need to set up your profile on LinkedIn. So two very, very important things is for you to have your photo and your headline, because anywhere on the platform, ito yung nakikita. So the first screenshot you're gonna see, that's my profile. So it has my picture and my headline. But the screenshot below, that's an actual comment that I've left on someone's post on LinkedIn. So on Facebook, when you leave a comment, diba, it's only gonna show your photo and your name. But on LinkedIn, it shows even, well, your pronouns if you choose to put your pronouns there. But very importantly, it shows also your headline. Meaning, what's your title? What are you doing now? How do you want people to know you or remember you when you interact with people on the platform? So right now, mine says career development and education consultant. So whenever I leave a comment, they know that that's the perspective I'm bringing into the table whenever I leave my opinion or a comment on LinkedIn. So these are two things that you really want to make sure are there when you set up your profile. So here are some tips. So when you're choosing a photo, I want you to choose a professional looking solo photo where your face is clearly visible. So pwede siyang magmukhang ID picture like this one on my white background, or I know that some of you are attending or used to attend like in-person org events, and my professional photographer in the event. So my professional candid photos siguro kayo that you want to use. That's also okay as long as it's professional looking and that your face is clearly seen. Now, the grad pic, this is something that is dividing a lot of people on the internet, because people who work at LinkedIn actually do not recommend that you use your graduation picture as your main photo on LinkedIn, because it makes you look inexperienced kasi grad pic yan. So usually yung connection that people make when they see a grad pic, fresh grad, wala pang experience. So you don't want to leave that sort of impression on your profile. But then again, some of us walang ibang professional looking solo photo maliban na lang sa grad pic. So I would leave that up to you na lang. Just know the tips around that, meaning on one hand, people might think you're inexperienced because you're using a grad photo, meaning they don't think you've been working for a while already. But on the other hand, I do understand that that's the only photo sometimes that we have. So I personally, as a recruiter and as a hiring manager before, I didn't mind if the person used a grad photo, but just I wanted to let you all know what the people at LinkedIn say. There are some people who might think like, but I'm a creative person. Like, I want my picture to be creative and stand out. Probably, if you're going to go to a creative industry, that may be allowed and that's understandable. So go ahead. But please make sure that your face is still kind of visible when you're choosing a creative photo. Sana hindi group photo yung gamitin nyo, like the one na I put in the example, because sometimes hindi natin alam kung sino talaga dyan si Deirdre. Right? So choose a solo photo. Even if like, let's say may group photo kayo na sobrang ganda talaga, DSLR yung pinangkuha ng photo na yun. Pero if halatang cropped, and then there are people with you, probably pass on that photo to use. But that's just a very quick tip from me for choosing a photo, because again, this is what people will attach to your name when you're leaving comments and when you're interacting with people on the platform. Next, one of the things that they launched recently is if you're actively job searching, you can actually add a frame on your photo. So you just edit your photo and then you can choose to add a frame where you can pick open to work, right? So that on the platform, when you're interacting with people, they also know that, hey, this person that I'm interacting with is available for opportunities. So if you're actively job searching, you might want to consider using the open to work frame on LinkedIn. There is another one. If some of you would go into HR one day, there's another frame called hiring. So if you are actively hiring, they put that on their frame as well. So once you're interacting with people on the profile as well, you might want to pay attention to the profile of people with the hiring frame as well. But for you, you can choose to put the open to work frame if you want. Now, headline. So the profile I'm showing you right now is of the co-founder and president of Invested Philippines. So if you look at his headline, it describes his current most significant role, which is basically his co-founder and president at Invested Philippines, but also that they're hiring right now. So the headline is not just limited to what your role is, but what people can connect with you for. So in this case, people can connect with you for opportunities. So if you don't have experience, that's okay. Here are some ideas outside of just saying that, you know, you're a, let's say, industrial engineering student, right? You can also put, you know, you're a soon to be licensed something, or you're an aspiring project manager, or, you know, you're a student, but you're also looking for internship opportunities. So here are just some of the ideas that you can use to spice up your headline. It's not just, you know, industrial engineering student or even just student at University of the Philippines, right? So here are some ideas. Of course, you can be a bit more creative and strategic than that. But here are just some of the headlines that you can use. Okay, next thing that you want to set up, again, bare minimum on your profile is you add your experiences. So even if you don't put descriptions on your experiences, but you have job titles already and the organizations that you've worked with, and your school, because that shows up at the topmost part of your profile. So if you look at my profile and Rose's profile, mine shows my school, the school I graduated from, or the most recent school I graduated from. Rose's profile shows the company that he's working with right now. If you fill up both, it's actually going to show both your school and your latest experience at the topmost part of your profile. So you want to add those in as well. So some tips for adding experience. So there's a bare minimum that you can add on LinkedIn, right? So at least your role name, because that helps a lot when people are recruiting on LinkedIn. Let's say you're the VP of marketing for your current org. That's also important already because the keywords are there. So think really hard about the role that you're putting there. If you were, let's say, a project management intern, you add that in. Again, that has some keywords already like project management in there. And then you add in the company or organization and the relevant dates. When you're typing in the company name, wait for the drop-down menu to appear and see if the organization is already on LinkedIn. Para lalabas yung logo nila. And then that also helps when people are recruiting on LinkedIn and are specifically looking for, let's say, alumni of certain organizations. So, for example, you heard that there's a lot of great talent working at Invested Philippines, and you're a recruiter. You wanna click Invested Philippines and be able to see who works there, and then you're gonna pop up. So make sure that you wait for the drop down and pick the organization from there, because it makes it easier for people to find your profile. Same with education. After you add your school, your degree program, and the relevant dates, lalabas yung school dyan. Most of the schools in the Philippines are already actually on LinkedIn. So one great thing about this is because once you click the school, it's gonna show you people who you may know who came from that school as well. And when you're browsing jobs on LinkedIn, it's also gonna show if, let's say, hey, 10 alumni from UP also work here. So it's good for you to know that, hey, there are people from UP who work here, and I can probably connect with them and get some advice on how to apply to this job. So again, very important that you select your school from a drop-down menu, and then that allows your profile to be easily found. Okay, so that's for level 1, right? Very, very bare minimum business card level stuff, just your photo and headline, experience, and education. That's just so that you want to be found on LinkedIn, and then that you can connect with people at the very least.